Talk amongst yourselves.
Sometimes that's not advisable. For live?
Yep.
Okay, we'll call the June 20th meeting of Lock In City Council for a quick rise for moment of silence followed by the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilmember Byerly.
Here.
Councilmember Conklin.
Here.
Councilmember Missouri.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Councilmember Brinker.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
And Mayor Long.
Here. We actually had two meetings last time, special meeting and a regular meeting. The special meeting is we're hearing proposals from solar companies on solar power for the city. So we have the approval of minutes for the June 6th special meeting and the regular meeting.
Second.
Motion on the floor in a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Morris. And Mayor Long. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yeah.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Public comments and requests. Comments from residents and city taxpayers. B, consideration of resolution number 2022-24. One of the good things that I get to do is reading these resolutions because they're great. Resolution congratulating Norm Wolfram, 32 years of service to the leadership of the Lock Haven Fire Department. Whereas council is enabled by the third-class city code to adopt a resolution as an expression, ceremonial, or congratulatory expressions of goodwill. And whereas Norm Wolfram was first appointed to the position of Assistant Fire Chief on July 1st, 1990, and rotating through the positions of Deputy Chief and Fire Chief since that time. And whereas Fire Chief Norm Wolfram will be ending his current term as Fire Chief on June 30th, 2022, after having spent 32 years in the administrative service of the city's pursuits toward public safety and preparedness. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Lock Haven does offer this resolution to honor Norm Wolfram for his 32 years of public service as Chief of the Fire Department of the City of Lock Haven. What's the wish of council?
Move the resolution. I'll second.
Motion floor and second. Any further comments, questions?
No.
Norm, thank you. Thank you for everything. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
And Mayor Long.
Yes.
Sorry. Smile. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Smile. Good.
Have anything you want to say?
I'd like to thank everybody. Want to thank the city and city council for all the support that you give the fire department for over the years. We had some tough times, but we all made it through. So thank you very much.
4C, new business meetings. Appointment of the fire chief for the term of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2024.
The city council has received a recommendation from the Lock Haven Fire Advisory Board for the recommendation for the appointment of fire chief positions that would be effective July 1st through this year to June 30th, 2024. That being fire chief Robert Neff, deputy fire chief Tyler Wooding, and assistant fire chief Eric Broomgard.
What's the wish of council?
So moved. Second.
Motion for a second. Any further comments or discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker,
yes,
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes,
I'm sorry to make you get up again, but you do a handshake for the paper.
oh,
The three chiefs could come up.
good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good.
4D, consideration of resolution number 2022-45.
The resolution for an American flag from June 22nd to July 8th on the city's banner across East Main Street, and the proposal is put in by Beth.
Switch council.
I move the resolution.
I'll second.
Motion to the floor and a second. Any further discussion, questions, comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker,
He said yes.
Oh, he's
Thumbs up.
thumbs up.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Anything else under request?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
They just talked about it.
Oh, if you guys want to, we'll take a stop for a minute for you to see all this in here. If you'd like to, you can.
2 more hours.
It's all the kids.
Push no.
Okay. Unfinished business 5A, consideration of resolution 2022-26.
This is a resolution that council asked to bring forward this week, securing $31,047 in funding for tier 1 of the YMCA pool, which will help them reach that goal, which will enable them to reach that goal.
I move the resolution.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? I'll say that I think it's great we're able to do this to help them. The YMCA is we're part of the community and they've struggled with this for a little bit. It'd be nice to see them get things fixed and back up and running. Call for vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
yes,
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 5B, award the bid for replacement of the water mains on Mackey and Maclehatten Avenues.
I'll let the Director of Public Works, who's here this evening, speak to that.
This is a rebid for Maclehatten Avenue with Cascadia water line replacement. We opened two bids, one from Lumadoo Excavating and the other from HRI. This is the recommendation to award to Lumadoo Excavating in the amount of $394,690.
What's the wish of council? Have a motion on the floor
Second.
and a second.
Question.
Questions?
Tony, ensure that they put everything in that they were supposed to. I'm looking at line items and I see differences in price. Sometimes 35,000 and sometimes 22. I mean, there's some big differences.
This is,
That they didn't forget something that they're gonna do change orders on us or.
so this is certified bid tab by our.
Because there was some disparity, $150,000 worth for the same project, so. I just didn't want them to have to forget something. That's my question.
Any other questions, comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
yes,
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 5C, acceptance of the resignation of Patrol Officer Gage Fisher, excuse me.
I notified council last meeting of Mr. Fisher submitting his letter of resignation. This is just on the agenda so the council can accept that resignation. Mr. Fisher is going to the Pennsylvania State.
Acceptance of the resignation.
I have a motion
Second, with thanks for the 2.5 years. That was.
and a second. Any further discussion, comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
yes,
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 5D, consideration of the approval of repainting Hannah Park pickleball courts.
This is what council discussed previously. This is to actually expend the money from the funds raised by the pickleball group. I don't think they're officially organized, but they solicited for some grants and things around $17,000 to $18,000 worth. So this would come out of the funds that they raised. But council does need to take action in order for us to enter into this agreement.
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion? See the first time that they did was pretty successful. Up there. Well attended. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
yes,
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 5E, discussion regarding improvements to City Hall.
So over the past several different options were presented to council and variations of the option for remodeling or what can be done with the borough proceeds towards City Hall. I did mention that I went back to the engineer and asked for just a limited number of things to be done here in the city, which includes new roof, windows, ADA compliance and EDOC compliance issues. And that total comes to 1.5 million. So that does leave several things that would not be addressed as part of the improvement project, including the HVAC system, which by square footage is estimated to be about 1.7 million. So I just wanted to update council on that option and kind of give a overview of what the other options were over time. For obviously, the original proposal was to build a new city hall for 6.7, which is way out of anyone's league. Remodel city hall, bringing all aspects up to code, which was 6 million. And then a variety of kind of subs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options under that of other things that could be done, including moving people down to the police department, down to an addition at Hope Cove, and doing limited work here, and also then using some of our own, like hiring additional staff, I should say, not using some of our own staff, but hiring additional staff to perform some work. So those variations are listed there for council to review and take consideration on what steps they would like to direct us as city staff to take in the future.
You know, this seems to me to have been, we're in danger of paralysis by analysis here. I went back to the feasibility study that was done last year. And at that time, it would have cost 1.1 something million to do mechanical and plumbing, $1.3 million to do electrical. You add those two together with the estimate for roofs and windows, and you're just a few bucks north of $2.5 million. It seems to me that if we were to do that, we've done the first of the things that we ought to be doing, which is preserve the asset. And when we preserve the asset, we could, over time, as more capital budget is developed, move to improve some of the accommodation that we have done. I am open to being persuaded that one of those actions should not take priority over moving the locker rooms and making the bathrooms ADA compliant. But I'm at a loss to understand why that takes over $1 million. And I'm now also at a loss to understand that in the space of how in the space of 4 months, fixing the HVAC has gone from 1.1 million to 1.7. That's a 50% increase. And I looked at those original estimates, and they were based on facilitating the basement the same level as the 2 upper floors. So, question as a layman whether you need to do that. I think there are some priorities here. We need to do the roof. I think everybody's agreed that we need to do the roof. It would be good to do the windows, because then you have the building secure. I don't understand why we can't just put out an RFP to replace the roof. Why we now need to spend $154,000 with the architect who bought us the 7-day working and 40-hour workday. They seem to want to do this whole thing as a package. I asked why we can't just disaggregate these things and move ahead pretty much immediately to replace the roof, replace the windows, and then let them work on a proposal to upgrade the bathrooms and move the police lockers. If you're going to move the police lockers, the obvious question is, where's council gonna be? Well, I've gone online. Those are my concerns. I would like to know that we immediately take action to replace the roof of this building while we consider the other actions that we want to do. And if my brothers and sisters want to convince me that ADA compliance takes precedence over fixing the heat, then I'm open to that persuasion.
Well, we set on a path last year. We got $2.5 million to deal with issues with this building. Finding that we can't deal with everything out of that $2.5 million, but I would point out to you, the average person that is a homeowner, if you have $30,000 that you need to fix things with your house. And you look at your house and you say, well, there's more than 30,000. And boy, if I did it this way, if you're doing it the right way, it's gonna cost me 60,000, but you can't get that 60,000. What do? Do you let it go? Or do you try to address the most pressing needs that you have with the money that you have available to you? And what I agree with Richard, that the roof is first. You know, have a good roof, the rest of the building is gonna continue to deteriorate. I would argue that the locker rooms and the ADA compliance are also very important. But we can see here that we can address those things. Richard, you made a motion, did you? I want to make sure that I'm not moving
I would
anywhere out
like
of
that
order.
we take action immediately to find someone to fix the roof. And just as a rider, I just skimmed through this proposal from the architects. If we go at that pace, we'll get this roof in October of 2023, which would be roughly 8 years after we council at the time decided we should happen. That's a lamentable. And it beggars belief that it takes 2 years to figure out how we should fix it. So I don't know what we propose to do with the rest of this football board proposal. I want to disaggregate the roof and take action on that now. That is the purpose of my motion.
I have a motion to take action to fix the roof immediately is what you're saying. That,
With all due speed.
And you don't want to include the windows in that.
That would be my next motion.
Okay,
What I want to do is disaggregate these things.
right, I
Because
understand,
Otherwise,
I understand.
we won't do anything until we've done everything. Right? We'll never do everything until we've done something.
So I will second your motion.
Question,
question?
so does this motion take all other options off the table? So you are, as council, we are no longer now considering either leasing a space and selling this building or building an addition, police station, fire at Hope Hose and leasing a building. So those are off the table in this motion.
Do you think that they have to be mutually exclusive? Because I don't see that. I agree with you, Doug, in that I think that if we want to sell this building, then we probably do need to fix it. So I don't think that fixing the roof takes us to a place where we say that all other options are off the table, because I don't necessarily think that fixing the roof in the building that we're in and that we're going to be in probably for at least another year or 2 or even 3, depending on how long council goes on about what we're going to do. But I don't necessarily think fixing the roof eliminates the possibilities of other things down the road. I think that we could fix the roof in this building, which should have been done 9 years ago or however long ago you said it was approved to have been done, should have been done then. The fact that it's landed in this council's lap 8 years or 9 years later, it's reprehensible, but it should have been done then and needs done still. And selling the building, we're expecting to think that the roof in its current condition is going, we're just getting by on block.
I do want to say it keeps getting kicked around. The council approved that in 2015. I did read all the minutes from 2015 and did not see that in there. Council did at one point make a motion in order to repair and fix the downspouts and the gutters, which were no new parts, but the clips were put in place and they were cleaned out. But I did not see a motion to re-roof the building. So that wasn't a failure of anyone to act on a
That's good to
directive from
know.
council.
The council did address it.
Right, they addressed that there should be a new roof, but the action taken was to downspout.
Yes.
What's the timeline for advertising for requests for proposals and then finally bidding, and what time are you going back to tear the, I saw a price for tearing the roof off and then, or would you consider possibly a metal roof and just overlaying and let the existing shingles on?
We're not the architect, so we can't
Yeah.
answer those questions, but I can pose those questions to the architect.
Yeah, what would the, ask for bids and see where it fits in?
What, the condition of the roof is actively leaking and a disaster, and it might, what?
Yeah, it hasn't healed itself.
Okay.
But
Great.
the only thing I would say about disaggregating projects is in this case, obviously, the roof total project does exceed the prevailing wage threshold. You cannot disaggregate a project in order to do other projects that would let you avoid paying prevailing wage by disaggregating those projects.
Right, you can't piecemeal it.
Right,
No, well, everything, all the estimates are above that threshold
Right.
anyway. So that's not the intent to
right.
get around prevailing wage.
And that's why I opened with that particular project that doesn't apply, but just to be cautious about when you're doing a total project, don't try to pull something out just to make sure you don't have to pay for it.
Right.
We would get a great deal of state trouble. Well, I guess not me, you.
Yeah,
I delivered the bad news.
Which was not any part of my motion.
Right.
Motion is to get the damn job done.
any other questions?
Just to clarify, so Councilman Morris's motion takes all other options off the table.
No,
I don't think it takes anything else off.
the motion is self-standing. It is to fix the roof. I have my own ideas about what else we should do. But the motion is self-standing.
May I ask for clarification on the motion?
Clarification,
Is that to be paid for from the 2021 A4?
Yes.
I just need that included.
thank you. Any other questions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byron,
No,
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
The roof's leaking, Bob.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
We didn't hear you.
No, he's saying.
Yeah, no.
no,
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. So further discussion.
so we still don't have direction for our city manager. That, so we're gonna fix something, that's fine. But we've been talking for months, and we still haven't given our manager, who's done yeoman's work, any direction. So we're talking about something that should have happened 9 years ago, and we're doing the same thing.
No,
We're
I
doing
disagree.
exactly the same thing.
we are just prolonging. Now it's gonna take 2, 3, 4 months to get a bid on this roof. And we're not gonna give him any direction that whole time.
Well, that's why we're sitting here now, Doug.
I think we need to stay on it. I think I think that we need to continue the discussions. I think we need to continue with moving forward. And absolutely, I think our city staff deserves direction. I think we have to make a decision about what we're doing with this building.
I think this one advises some time that we fix the roof, that the building doesn't disintegrate any more than it already is. And it'll give us a little more time to decide which direction we may want to go in the future.
We have to make a commitment to making that decision. Now, unfortunately, if we're gonna have to decide, we're gonna have to do something.
Again, going back to the part four's proposal, it would take them 2 years to get us a new roof, new windows, and ADA compliant bathrooms. How long do you imagine it will take them to build as a building? All it takes to give city council, city staff direction is someone to make a motion to either build a new building or develop the Hope Homes site, or whatever it is you guys want to do, make a motion to do it. Don't sit here and bleat that we're not giving city staff direction.
And we don't have the money for these other options. Well, you know. I voted last year to raise taxes. It didn't have to do with what we did, but I'm not gonna vote to raise taxes and borrow more money to build a new building somewhere or. You know, we have this building, it has problems and we need to deal with those problems and the employees deserve a good workspace, but we should start addressing them. And take care of it and prioritize. We have the issues in front of us. We can prioritize them and deal with them with the money we have. And as money comes available, deal with them. Others as we go. We don't have the money to go out and just start a big project of building other buildings and remodeling another building somewhere else.
So my next motion is that we now, with all due speed, solicit bids to replace the windows in this building.
Second,
Motion floor in a second. I think further discussion.
So question, so we're just going to vote one by one line item on what we're going to fix. And if we
Well,
keep doing that, hold on, and if we keep doing that, the funds that we have to potentially do any of the options becomes null and void. If we do sell it, the likelihood of this building staying as is with windows in the location that they are is a waste of money. They could relocate the windows, totally throw the windows away. That's $140,000 out the drain. I would like to see, if we're gonna like piecemeal, I'd like to see why the toilets in the locker room it costs $1.1 million. I'd like to see a line item of that breakdown. I don't understand how that room that we're meeting in right now, if that's where the location is going to be, is a $1 million operation. I don't understand that. Maybe I'm seeing something wrong there, but
Well, I'm not the architect either, but my understanding is that the bulk of that $1.1 million goes to the refurbishment of the 4 bathrooms.
According to the document you were provided on page 1, it says convert current council meeting room to male-female locker rooms. Lower raised portion of the main floor, which is the codes office, to match the existing floor level, and renovate and or convert toilet rooms to meet fixture and code requirements for male and female toilets on the main floor and male and female toilets on the upper floor. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 bathrooms, 2 locker rooms, which include full bathrooms, and to lower the code department to the rest of the floor for ADA purposes. So those kind of 3 line items aggregated are what came to be the architect's 1.1 million project.
I agree with Councilman Brinker's earlier comment. So we voted to do the roof and that's fine. Now we're gonna vote to do the windows. And if we then decide to take another path, use the Hope Hose police station option as an example, and we go that route and we sell this building, we're never gonna recoup that because they may take out half these windows, they may make them smaller, all of that. So why do we wanna spend that money, whatever that amount is, when we may go another route in a year and we're never gonna see that money back? I agree with this comment completely on that. The roof is fine. But you start adding other items when we may go another path very soon, maybe. I just don't think that makes any sense.
And I come back to my comment about paralysis by analysis. Yeah, we might go. If somebody suddenly finds $4 million we don't have today. It is possible that without new windows, we could sell this building. It's possible we could achieve a greater sale price if it has decent looking windows.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why anybody would want to buy this building and then remodel all the fenestration. So I think I'm trying to get to the point where we do things that we feel need to be done, rather than continually dreaming about projects that we have no way of making realistic.
I don't think that's true, Richard. I mean, the proposal that the city manager put on the plate for Hopos and the police station is a good, solid proposal. It addresses two departments in our city that need expanded space. And that's a doable project. Because in the end, you're gonna sell this building, so you're gonna recruit a pretty significant amount of money and have another property back on the tax rolls. I think that's something that we're forgetting. So if you're looking for a proposal, I can't step over his motion, but I would make the motion to move forward with the Hope Hose Police Station project. I think that's the best option. You're still gonna have a 100-year-old building no matter what you do to this building. And while that puts it in the historical category, if you look at this building from the outside, there's not a whole lot historical about this building. It's a big old brick building. That's a rectangle. That's what it is. It has sentiment, but I don't believe it has a lot of historical value to the city. That's just my opinion.
I would be willing to withdraw my motion from Councilman Byers.
I will make that.
And I will second that motion.
Motion to floor in a second.
What was the quote motion?
That we advise staff to move forward with the Hope Hose project.
Did you look at the numbers on that too? It's $1.5 million over what we have. In the 2021A proceeds.
I would think if our city manager put that on the table, that he would come up with a plan to make that happen.
And that's just to do that down there. It doesn't include doing anything to this building for the staff that's left. So if you add this renovation, which will need to be done other than the locker rooms, to that one down there, you're into the $4.5 million range.
If I could interject, the Hope Hose proposal for combining the police and Hope Hose, that is estimated to be 2.9 million. So the city has 2.5 million, you'd have to use 400,000 from the capital improvement fund. And then the $1 million was an estimate to buy like a storefront and remodel that. And so that would not be able to take place right away. So you would have those remaining staff Apparently there's 10. I said 9 last time, a couple times, so then the next day, everybody was trying to figure out who doesn't work here anymore. So I failed to count myself in the 10, but it would leave 10 people here to try to figure out what to do. But you're right, it doesn't fix the roof or anything like that. Isn't part of what those dollars figures.
And you don't have the land. You haven't put the purchase price in for what land it may be, or even if it will be sold to us. Or unless you're gonna condemn it and take it.
Right, and it's like, we can't negotiate that before council says that's what they want negotiated, but the redevelopment authority has been looking into swapping land potentially, or coming to a deal for that parcel. Independent.
But we could dramatically consolidate here. We got if the police weren't here and, I mean,
There'd
Yeah,
be too
everyone
much
should
space for
come to the-
what we have left.
Everyone that would be left would just come like down to the first floor, so we could shut the heat lower on the second floor.
Tony, a question for you, to put a roof on, do you need the architectural drawings for that? Or could, if an RFP went out and say the Amish bid on it and they said, this is the price for the roof and to your specs, they could just do it?
You would need architectural material.
Yeah, they have to be stamped plans for, we're not exempt from the uniform construction code.
This is considered like a commercial.
Okay. So that should be under, is that included in the,
That would be
Cost.
included in its cost.
of the estimate?
Well, I should say, the estimate is $120,000. Part of the 154 in architectural fees includes things like building those plans, so there would still be architectural fees or engineering fees, no matter who you went with. If you wanted to do something like the,
Well, there's
The roof.
schematic design, there's final design, there's bidding, construction administration, and then other expenses.
right, so all of that, if you,
I was trying to skirt that a little bit and lower our estimated
Well, there-
cost.
there's no way to skirt that, it'll be more than 120,000 when you added the fees for architectural services,
Assuming your bids come in at 120,000.
assuming that they do.
Oh, I don't agree with that by reason. I don't agree with separating the police from the administration. Two, Doug keeps bringing up that you're putting this property back on the tax roll, but neglects to say about the other properties that you're moving to come off the tax roll, so it's kind of a wash as far as that's concerned. And we don't have the money. We don't.
Is there anything in your crystal ball from the feds that are putting out additional money with the state that we may qualify for, Abby or Greg? To see us, or something else that we can help give ourselves some relief here by applying for the. Even something proposed, it's not even passed, is there any hope at the end of the tunnel here for additional?
This isn't really infrastructure, and that's really what all the focus is on.
Yeah.
If, I suppose if we pumped water through the middle of the building, then it would count towards some kind of infrastructure. In lieu of that, not really, the only salvation could be a rack fee, and that's very sensitive on who's in office at the time. Rack fees are issued to people a lot where you get awarded it, but actually getting it funded is the second step, and that's a lot more difficult. And right now, there are how many millions to evaporate?
Yeah, 2023 should operate.
Yeah, like 20 million in rack fees will evaporate that just were never funded. But they were awarded, it's just, you know, the legislature and the governor never actually moved to ever put funding behind those awarded.
This is $1.5 million proposal to do everything to include an architectural services other than HVAC. So you could totally rehab total city hall for $100 million less than what we have.
still leaves us some money to address other things.
Which could
I
be
I have,
a and then you'd have to come up with $700,000 somewhere to complete the whole project.
Ms. Bridger,
yeah, I got a question for Greg. You brought up the Hope Hose. If we don't do 2D, when will we be having to address the Hope Hose situation in the near future to meet their needs that they have? Will we be
Their
looking out for a year or two down the road, or?
Their facility is 30, 40, 50 years old. They have done their own, with their own funds, done some improvements with their own HVAC. But structurally, we'd have to look at really what longevity issues there may be there. To see what those have to be, what there are to be addressed, but we haven't engaged an architect or engineer to do that kind of investigation right now. To know about electrical upgrades, plumbing, things like that. It
So
survived a
2D,
flood.
what's that?
It did survive a flood,
It did. I
yeah.
say-
It was
Yeah, I
new
still,
when- What, like 2, 3 years old?
It was built 1970.
1970, 2 years old.
Councilor Bridger, do you
I know
want to continue?
I know 2D is over our budget, but we're looking at a 3 building project type thing instead of a 2 with the 2.5. If Hope has an issue and we don't address the issue now, then we're going to be addressing the issue down the road with Hope. You know, whether it could be 2 years regardless. So by doing 2D, yeah, it's over the budget right now. But if we push Hope Hose down the road, we're going to be looking at $5, $6, $7 million to do the same thing that we could be doing in 2022. So even though it looks like we're spending more money now, which we are, in the long haul would be saving money, because in 3, 4, 5 years or 10 years, where we push that problem down the road, it will cost drastically more than it does today to meet those needs that putting the police down there with Hope Hose and doing 2D.
Well, we have a motion on the floor. And we do have a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
What's the motion?
Motion was to move forward with the plan of 2D, I guess, is one.
The Hope Hose project.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes,
Councilmember Stevenson,
No.
Councilmember Brinker,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
No.
Mayor Long.
No. I guess you have direction.
I would like to clarify that giving that direction does not mean that project is guaranteed to take place for those watching at home who may be on the newspaper. That is just giving direction for us to be able to further explore that as a legitimate option. Council may be interested in actually signing on the bottom line. In the interim, we also have direction to solicit for roof replacement. And so we'll work with the architect to get that done as soon as possible.
Okay, any other unfinished business?
I have none, Your Honor.
6A, new business, acceptance of the request of Clinton County to relocate certain monuments in Veterans Park.
Currently in Veterans Park, which is slated for some substantial renovation through donation. The county has written a letter informing council of its intent with council's consent to move 3 monuments from the existing park and relocate those to other county-owned parcels of land. One would be the old fort monument would go to the Clinton County Courthouse property, and the remaining two would go to the Piper Building. And that is the multi-war, I would call it, monument would go to Piper, as well as the World War I.
Request.
Do they own the monuments or do we?
The city, under the third class city code, the city cannot own countywide monuments. The city can also not expend funds for their maintenance or repair. So that would be a burden the county would have.
The question was, do they belong to us or do they belong to them?
They don't belong to the city because they couldn't legally belong to the city under the third class city code.
Motion on the floor, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions?
So it's going to that little, the one that's going to. Courthouse, it's going to that little patch of grass next to the bike shop.
I believe so.
Or somewhere along
Where
that
the
section.
tree- where the
They don't,
trees
they
are.
weren't very specific, somewhere along that tree.
Between the sidewalk and
Yeah.
Main Street. Or parking lot in Main Street.
Yeah, right where, possibly where the job Johnny is sitting.
Great plans for the new apartments.
Any other questions? Call for the vote?
Councilmember Byron.
Yeah.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes,
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes,
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Warren.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 6B, notification of FEMA training.
I'll let Councilmember Stevenson speak to this a little bit. We brought this up at the last meeting. This is a training that will take place on Tuesday, July 19th at 7 o'clock p.m.
And they need a head count so they know that the room is big enough because they're inviting the elected officials from all over Clinton County. And so if you give Greg the yes or no or affirm that you're going to attend it, he can make sure you have a seat there. And if there's overflow, they said they can try to find another place larger to hold everybody, but I'd encourage all of the council people to attend that.
6C, announcement of the Little Ranger program.
And I'll turn it over to Ranger Abby.
Myself and Ranger Casey, as well as I guess June and Ray and Jason, have been working on a Little Rangers program. It's similar to like a DCNR passport book where you go to parks and get a stamp. This has a lot more activities, but also encourages Little Rangers. You don't have to live in the city. You can live in the area to pick up a passport. We're gonna have specific places where you can find them. Go to a park, do something interesting that's listed in the passport, and then you get your badge, which is just a little sticker that you can add to your passport. The Rangers will be announcing this program in full on our monthly episode on Friday. So we'll have more information for everyone, but we want to give you guys a heads up.
it's terrific.
And this, the badges are in the little libraries, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be in a lot of different places, waiting for a complete list to be finalized.
It's terrific. It's gonna be a lot of fun for young people, for little rangers.
Little Rangers.
And
It's
for
a-
big rangers.
All
Yeah, I made my like list of what I intend to do to try to get my stickers. If you do win a prize at the end, if you complete all.
There's no, where's their mention of the?
It
prize?
did, it doesn't say what the prize is, but it says. You have, when you're finished with the booklet, you have to give Ranger Casey or Ranger Abby a call on the Ranger hotline. And let us know you're done and we'll get a special prize together to celebrate your achievement. And we'll be looking forward to maybe like showcasing Little Rangers throughout the summer, complete the booklet, something to stay involved.
And we encourage everyone to do all the activities that are listed, but to qualify, you just have to choose one of the three, let's say it's in
Yeah,
suggested in the park, is that correct?
right, we need 10 out of 17 to qualify.
Great summer activity.
One of them's gonna snack.
Find out which one's so hot though.
Yeah.
Any other new business?
I have none, Your Honor.
Could I ask something? I'm sorry. I know we had discussions about the new parking meters and things like that. Is that new business, little business? I'm not sure where that fits in, but are we still on track for getting new parking meters? Is that still something that's in the works here?
So we did have numerous people this year take advantage of much more than in the past, the quarterly payments. In the past, about 75% of the real estate tax in the city that's due is paid during the discount period. This year, we saw only about half paid during the discount period because more people are taking advantage, more homeowners who make them quarterly payments. That traditionally puts us in a very good place at the first quarter of the year to know what we can spend on capital improvement projects. Now that that money comes more slowly throughout the year, that is why I put a spending freeze on at the city. And so we have asked for the meter individuals to quote us prices effective next year.
Okay.
And so it would be the intention that that would be pushed into next year. It is a pretty pricey project and does have a long-term cost because the meter heads now communicate in order to accept credit cards. And so it is still on the agenda. It's not a this year item, but it is being requoted so that it can move forward in 2023.
True, thank you, Greg.
7 FYI reports, authority, boards, commission.
The audit of the Lock Haven Area Flood Protection Authority is included, as well as the minutes of the Tax Collection Committee. I will say the Lock Haven Flood Protection Authority, the majority of their audit is really depreciation of the asset, which is the levy itself. There isn't really much other activity in that, but with the supporting documentation that comes from Baker Tilly, it's like a 50-page packet, but you really only need to look at like 2 pieces of paper in that. And that'll tell you all the info you know. But the minutes of the Tax Collection Committee are also included for your information.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
Anyone have anything else to bring to council? Do I have a motion to adjourn? For adjourn, thank you.